How do?
How do, Mr. Samworth?
So we're back with Lee. The Mr. Samworth thing, I've given up on that now. You're not going to call me Sam, are you?
I'm not Mr. Samworth.
That's fine. I understand.
I've got you there again, haven't I?
Right, so we're down at Forest Bank Prison, a private prison where I work. We're just seeing all night staff and day staff coming in. Yeah, that was a stressful place to work. We were going to do a vlog round it, so let me explain. This prison's in Salford. It is built in a big park, innit?
Yeah, it was actually Agecroft Cholera. It was a coal mine here.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that's what it was.
So on site, back in the day, I hate that, but I'm going to say it. When I started there, it was quite an open park, and Sodexo, who owned the prison, spent a lot of money on the surrounding area. They built, there were some football pitches, put up facilities. This is to help the people of Salford accept the prison. They planted loads of trees. There is mountain bike tracks, bridges over rivers, horse riding areas. There's all sorts of stuff. So they spent quite a lot. It is a nice area. Now, you used to be able to see the prison from all angles, walk around with your dogs and that. What they've done now, there's probably a 15 metre from the prison wall, like lawned area. Then there's a fence line, a tree line all the way around, or as far as we could see, that's cameraed up, big lights and stuff. So it is difficult walking that lawned area to see anything and talk about it. I'm going to bring Stephen down one day and have a walk and see whether he can get in the park and see the prison and tell a few stories. So we're going to talk about your dad today, aren't we?
We are, yeah.
So over to you, mate.
Oh God, this could take a while then. Right, so as we were saying last time, and it says it on me, the headlines, the thing brought up into criminality. Well, when we go back to my dad, we're talking, if you was anybody or knew anyone back in the late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s, basically, if he was an armed robber or a criminal, you would definitely have knew my dad, because he's what you might say now, what they say in Salford, he was an armed robber, and he was known for armed robbing.
Prolific.
He wasn't, back in them days, don't forget, there was no security boxes. It was all canvas bags. Or
are we talking about money
proper,
vans now?
Money, no, you're talking wages, casinos, post offices. It was a waste of time doing vans there. You might as well just wait and take them from where they're delivering the van from, because it wasn't secure.
It's cash. It was all cash as well,
cash,
wasn't it?
Yeah, all cash. I remember canvas bags full of pound notes, fivers. I mean, crammed. Having to put my hand in, getting an handful out, put it in my pocket, and you couldn't even notice it was gone.
So, bear in mind, it was so prolific, it was obviously known by the police.
Yeah. The police were always at the house.
So, I'm thinking, would it not be like incriminating having bags of money and stuff lying about, or was it a different game then?
Well, it was definitely a different game, because when I was 12, like, don't forget, I've seen all this criminality going on from the age of 8, 9, 10. Police kicking the door in, taking him away, not seeing him for a year or two, going to prison to visit him, waiting outside while my mum throws coins of money. In Fawn Cross at the time, it was called Appleton Fawn then.
Was it still an open prison?
It was still an open prison, yeah. And you used to be able to have money. It was only coins. And I remember having to go with my mum every now and then, and she used to have to throw coins over the fence for him.
You could only have coins to spend?
You could only have coins, yeah. You actually had coins. You could actually have money to spend money in the prison. And they paid you, when you worked, you got paid.
Cash?
Cash, yeah.
Can I ask you about Salford? Because people outside Manchester, I didn't understand, right, Manchester and Salford are two very different things, aren't they?
Two completely different cities.
Salford is a city. When I come, I thought Salford was like an area me in Manchester. I didn't understand. And when we talk about Salford, it is a big area, but the area sort of where all the criminality was like...
Mainly Salford 3, 4, 5 and 6.
Is that round the precinct?
That's Salford precinct, and then Salford precinct's like, well, you could say it's the centre.
Yep.
And then off Salford precinct you've got Lower Broughton,
Yep.
Kersal, Higher Broughton, Mocker Parade.
Hudsall.
Well, no, because then you come more up to Chapel Street, Regent Road, Odsall, because these were all like still people, the lads still lived in these estates. The people from Regent Road,
Yeah.
the people from Cromwell Road, and basically, how can I put it? Yeah, it's like different factions, but when it's Salford, when we say Salford, we actually mean we're from Salford. When people say we're from Manchester, well, no, we're not. We're Salfordians. And proper true Salford lads in jail will say, no, we're not Mancs, we're not Mancunians, we're Salfordians, we're from Salford. And it's always, in my eyes, it's always stuck like I've never said I'm from Manchester, I'm from Salford, I'm a Salfordian. Obviously, we've got our own cathedral, and that's the only reason why we're a city. We have our own council, we have our own mayor. So it's, yeah, it's...
But it also, I did understand that bit. It's like if you said Manchester or Sheffield or Leeds, like everywhere has the criminality. But if you say Salford, it's almost like its own sort of underworld or whatever. You know what I mean, don't you?
Being known.
Yeah.
It's known everywhere. Considering it's only a little... Yeah, I understand where it's going. Because considering it's only a little place in a big city. But everyone's in Salford. Especially in this country, obviously. And there's some serious people from Salford.
Well, that's what I mean. Most people, or it was quite... It had a reputation, didn't it? So, sorry, taking away from your dad. So he was very prolific and very well known.
Oh yeah, he was all the main heads knew my dad. He used to drink with my dad. My dad was one of those, he was a drinker, but he was a very kind drinker. If he had a pint, everyone had a pint. He'd be, I think that's where I got it from, polite, you know, if he's out and everyone's drinking, my dad's got money in his pocket, no one's putting their hand in the pocket. That's what kind of guy he was. And then he'd come home, he'd have no money, and then she'd want money and he'd be out again, and I'd see the bag coming out, and I'd know, and I'd see my dad's mates turning up, and I'd know.
How did that make you feel? Right, I have thought about this before when you said about your dad. So if let's say your dad, I don't know, was a sportsman, let's say, I don't know, he played rugby league or whatever, yeah, and he were well known and he were good at it, then I would imagine you'd be proud of him, yeah?
Yeah.
So how does that work as a young lad like you were, knowing your dad's an armed robber?
No, I'm definitely not proud of it. Definitely.
Did you understand?
No.
What he was?
I just knew that he was going out doing bad things.
Right.
I didn't know he was actually going out and sawing off shotguns, balaclavas. I just knew that he was going out doing whatever he was doing. He's coming back with money. It was only later on in life when I understood his charges, and when they come to arrest him, what they was arresting him for, that I understood then, right, well, wow, this is more serious than what even I could imagine.
So how old were you when you sort of started?
The first time I ever saw anything that convinced me he was a real serious was about 12, 13, when I was searching. I'd come home for, I was in a residential care home from the age of 11 to 16. We used to come home at school holidays or weekends, and I used to search the bedroom as you do as a young kid, see if you could find any cigarettes or spare change, or in my case, my dad's bags of money. And I opened this bag one day and I pulled it out, and it was sawn-off shotgun about that big, sawn at the end. There was gloves there, balaclavas in it. I don't know whether I was excited or... Because by this time I was 12, 13, I'd been in care. I knew criminality. I didn't know deep stuff like that, but I knew what was right and wrong, and I knew that if there's a gun in your house, it's wrong. Anyway, so yeah,
I think it might be a bit disturbing, that.
It was. Well, I don't know if it was disturbing or exciting. I couldn't explain it because my dad was who he was. I was proud and not proud because a lot of people knew him and everyone was like, "There's Jimmy's son. There's Jimmy's son." All right, young Jimmy's. You know what I mean? And it was good, and it.
You know what? I'm thinking myself now. I can understand that you'd be confused because you don't know what to think, do you? The fact that people knew who you were or whatever.
I used to go. My dad used to go to the pub, and when I used to go, there used to be a lad there all the time, and he used to work it, and he used to sing to me, "Daddy was a bank robber," and he used to sing this and wind me up all the time.
More of that?
Yes, karaoke.
Yeah, no carpool.
And I told
karaoke.
my dad this day one day, this lad kept doing it to me all the time.
Yeah.
And I told my dad one day, my dad come out and fucking levered him. I don't know what, he just was winding me up, this lad, all the time. "Your dad's a bank," you know what I mean? He was proper winding me up. And then anyway, one day he told it, and my dad was in the pub, and I told him to come outside, and this lad never said it to me one more time. So, you know, to see things like that and then think, wow. And this lad was a bit of a buller. And his dad was a big guy as well. Big Fred, his dad was called. My dad would have been looking like that to this Big Fred, but because I think of this guy knew who my dad was, nothing was said. But yeah, so anyway, so this, on an occasion, I can remember exactly when it was. I was 12. So I'm at home this one weekend. Next minute, windows being smashed in the house and the front door being smashed. And I looked through my bedroom window and all I saw was police with guns with my dad on the lawn. My dad spread-eagled. Anyway, he got done and they found in the house a big bag of money, balaclavas and a sawn-off shotgun. So anyway, he was in the police station for a couple of days. I can remember it so clear because I was home it was a Friday till a Monday that I was home. I didn't have to go back to Huddersfield.
Is that where you were in care?
That's where I was in care, yeah. So I remember him going to court and him going to Strangeways, and I was back to the care home, and then when I'd come home I used to go and visit him. Anyway, one weekend I come home and he was out, and apparently his mum, my nana, had put her house up as a sureties that he'd appeared
for
in
bail.
court. For bail, that was it, yeah. So anyway, he ended up out, but whilst he was out, now bearing in mind you're talking about a guy here who's just got out of jail, possession of a sawn-off shotgun, money, possession of this, suspicion. Anyway, so he's out grafting and he's gone to a pub and he's robbing this pub. He's not got a shotgun at the time, he's got an ammo. There's two of them, two lads, him and his mate. So they broke into this pub and they got the landlord, and one of the guys is downstairs emptying the pool table, fruit machine, and in them days that's 6 machines, emptying them all, while my dad's upstairs with this landlord, opening the safe. So while my dad's in the room, in the office, the guys open the safe, my dad's put the ammo on top of the safe, bent down to clear the money out, and the landlord's picked the ammo up and hit my dad on the head twice, left him for dead, basically. Anyway, his oppo's seen what's gone on and his mate's done one. Left my dad for dead. Anyway, it all come out, the police was there, the ambulance was there. Anyway, he was in a coma for a month, and he started from scratch. From his speech, to his walking, to his bowel movement, to him having his nappies, and he started from nil. And he's now, how can I explain him now? Oh God. The bag man, my mates call him. Because he'll walk around Salford Precinct every day with his bag and get his shopping. And Oh, I just can't explain him now.
Do
He's
people know who he is still?
Everyone still knows who he is. Only back of his people. No one now is getting on, obviously. But the people back from my dad's day
Yeah.
cannot believe he's the same person that he was back then. Because he's just not.
How many years has it taken to get to there?
Since 1984.
So,
And it's not right now.
So bear in mind this happened. Some people might say that's karma.
Of course, yeah. And
So, as his son, how, what would you say to that?
I'd say it was the best thing that ever happened to him.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He'd rather be dead or getting out now. When we're talking 1984, he was arrested for things that happened that was notorious things that happened. There was a scrap dealer who was killed in Stockport in the 80s. My old man was charged with that offence, put on remand, and released. 3 or 4 days. They put him on remand for 3 or 4 days. And that's how easy it was back in them days. Don't forget, they just charge you. It's called a holding charge. Yeah. Charge you. You've not done it. You go to your committal in magistrates, and they throw you out. See you later.
This is what I was going to ask you. So, your nana or his mum or whatever, when they put bail up, if you were on firearms charges and that now, you're not getting bail, are you?
No, are you balls? Never. For no amount. Well, when I say for no amount of money, there are conditions that people could get bail, i.e. law-abiding citizen who's had a firearm in his possession from the war or been passed it down. Possible, but as for a criminal like us or a criminal record, you're not getting bail.
So do you think it'd have possibly ended up dead or lifed off, one or other?
Yeah, 100%. There was no ifs and buts about it. No ifs and buts. He was, right, so I was 13, he was only 29, 28, 29, he was in his prime. In his prime, and when I say in his prime, money was starting to show in the house. We'd have new this and we'd have new that. Things were starting to be spent on the house. I can't explain it because it was usually his beer or more than what for some reason. But
that's your mum, innit?
Yeah,
you don't call her mum.
As things progressed with his money coming in the house, we had a stereo and we got a coloured TV. It wasn't as if things were just being robbed and spent and not money being used for things that, obviously you can't do it now, you've got proceeds of crime.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. So I want to ask you again, because he's trying to get your head around the fact, right, if you're involved in criminality now, you're not taking nothing back to your house, are you? You're not having bags of money in your house, you're not having guns in your house.
No.
So were people confident then that they weren't going to get caught for things? Or, it seems very casual.
It fits.
You opening bags of money and finding guns in your house.
To look at the way he used to do it, I would never, and I don't know anyone who I know who would have put themselves in that position. It was probably the fact that he didn't trust anyone, or the fact that he thought that the police were never going to, I don't know what thought him to put everything in the house, but every single day, that bag was under his bed, and that bag of money was in the wardrobe.
So, were you still in care when he come home? When he come out of hospital from being in a coma?
Yeah, I was in care still, yeah. I was in care till I was 16.
So, did you come home at weekend?
Come out weekend, he was just a baby. Just sat there with a nappy on.
What did that?
Broke my heart. Couldn't talk to me. I was the only person he knew.
Recognised.
Nobody else. And apparently when he was in the hospital and he was coming, the only person he kept mentioning was Lee. See, it's like going back to when you say I call her Maureen, because I believe that I was my dad's little boy.
Yeah.
No matter what, I was his he was proud of me because I was his little boy. It's just that he didn't know how to, he just didn't know. He didn't change, he wasn't one of those, right, I'm having a kid now, I'm changing. He was more like, right, I'm having a kid now, I need to make money, more and more and more, and get himself well. I think...
You had two younger siblings at home, didn't you?
Yeah. They didn't have a clue. They was nowhere near as clued up as me. They would never have even gone in that bedroom to search that bedroom for anything.
did you at any point? I know it's hard again to explain because it almost, if I think when I was that old, if something had happened and I was away in care, and then you're coming home trying to understand that. At any point had you thought that this is going to be my life or anything, or was it having an effect on you without knowing? That
Yeah, the effect it had on me, that I thought I would have to be the man then. But every time when I come home, I used to think that I was the responsible one. But Maureen used to always put me back down to, if I'd say like, try and say something to my little brother, stop doing that or stop doing that, like my dad would have said.
yeah,
Oh no.
you were treated different to other two, weren't you?
Yeah, only off Maureen. My dad was a very violent man. Let's not fucking beat about the bush here. When I needed a good hiding, my dad gave me a good hiding. I didn't used to get a slap.
Yeah.
I was kicked the shit out of, which right or wrong, it happened in them days. But I never used to get a smack on the leg. But if I did something, and it was usually something pretty bad, it's not, my dad would kick the shit out of me. There was no, he'd fucking fill me in. And good thing or bad thing, in them days it happened, but it never used to happen to my brother or sister. And there again, obviously, they wasn't as bad as me.
When you say you were bad, what were you doing? Because you're one of the few people
Right.
I've ever met who said, in care, you said you were well looked after. You're really well looked after.
Well, when I say I was looked after, I would say it was a better part than being at home. When I say looked after, I was fed. I was clothed.
Did you feel safe?
No, I didn't feel safe. I never felt safe in Royd Edge in Huddersfield. The first few months when I got there, I did. But no, not after the first few months. But it was better than being at home. Rightly or wrongly, whatever happened in care happened. But
Yeah.
at them times, I was fed.
Yeah.
I was clothed, and
Was it just boys or was it boys and
it
girls?
was mixed boys and girls. Yeah.
And were they from all over the country, not just...
No, they was from Salford or Huddersfield.
Really?
Yeah. Nowhere else in the kids' home was they from, rather from Huddersfield or Salford, not even Manchester, Salford, Earlham, Eccles, and Salford, yeah. That was run by Salford Education Department and Kirklees Council.
Yeah.
He was a joint.
Kurt Lee's Huddersfield,
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
the one, yeah.
So that was a tough time, really. And then you're coming home and your dad...
Oh, he was like...
So, was he like bedridden, just...
like a baby. Started from a napper, walking, talking, and then gradually, he's not 100% now. He'll never be 100%. He'll be brain damaged forever, and he gets confused a lot, gets serious headaches. His speech is not fully there. We understand him because
You do when you're around people.
sometimes
don't you?
we finish his conversations for him.
Yeah.
We'll know exactly where he's getting to, and we'll finish it for him. But for something to happen like that and to say it was the best thing that ever happened to him is very, very sad. But there again, it goes back to the fact when I say I'm glad that I wasn't around to bring my kids up. It's a selfish thing to say, very selfish.
Well, I don't think it is a selfish thing. I think it's opposite to that because, you're just being brutally honest. And most people...
But I'd rather brought them up, obviously, but I knew... Part of the reason I couldn't because I was in jail.
Yeah.
But I do believe that if I was in their lives at that age, influential time of their lives, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That my son, not my daughter, my son could have definitely turned out the other way with not my influence, but with seeing what I was up to, and i.e. going back to what my dad did.
So when you were 16, did you come out of care and come back home?
No, I got jail. When I was 13, 3 days after my 16th birthday,
Yeah.
I went to jail. First time ever in Strangeways. And by this time, 2.5, 3 years had gone by since what happened to my dad.
Yeah.
And when you say it come on him fast. So all of a sudden, he wouldn't be able to say 1, 2, 3. And the next day, he was like, he come on so fast in such a short period of time, but then stayed at that level.
Yeah.
We thought he might have processed and gone fully 100%, but it's like after them 2 or 3 years, it didn't really go any further. It was like, right, that's how it is now. That's how he's going to speak. That's how he's going to be. And, yeah.
Can I ask you something again? So the landlord who hit him with a hammer, did anything happen to him?
I could never tell you.
You couldn't say?
Couldn't say, we never knew. All I know, the only information I know was that he was a relief landlord. That's all I know. And couldn't tell you his name, couldn't tell you nothing. I don't think anyone from that incident, I think he's one of those, well, it's his own fault. He shouldn't have been doing what he's doing. Back in them days, it was different, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and then from the age of him getting better and me being 16, 17, 18, oh, he was so rough on me. He was like,
because
you need a job.
Right.
You get out of this house. You're up at 7 o'clock. You don't come back until you've got a job. 5 o'clock. That's when you finish work. If you've not got a job by 5 o'clock, you can come back home. Oh, he wasn't fucking about.
Is that because he could see where you were going, maybe?
He was just like, yeah, he was so surprising because I believe that if that was back in the day, I'd have been crafting with him. And then from him going to that, because what happened was, so from the age of 16 to the age of 18, I was in and out of jail. I think I'd got 2 9-month sentences. And in them days, you did 6 months out of 9.
Yep.
So I'd done a year out of 2 sentences. But then when I got to 18, I got 4 years. And I went to a place called Castington. So whilst I'm in Castington, I've not seen my dad.
Yep.
I've never seen him, not one time, whilst I was on that sentence. I saw Maureen. So what happened was, when I finally did get out, my mum and dad were no longer together.
Right.
My dad was with someone else, and she was at home with my brother and sister.
Was he independent living then, or?
No, he just met someone else. That's how much he'd progressed. Whatever happened,
Yeah.
I don't know how he met her or whatever happened. Anyway, he ended up with this woman called Bev. He's now got 2 kids to her. And I forgot where I was up to then.
You were saying when you come out, you hadn't seen
When
him.
I got out of prison, I'd not seen him for years. And when I got out, he was living with Bev. And he was a completely different person to when I'd even gone away, because he was still a little bit slow and his speech was still a little bit slower. But when I seen him, things had changed dramatically. And like I said, we lived with him. And he was just like he was a fucking nightmare, to tell you the truth.
In what way?
OCD. And the house has got to be spotless. You need a job. You don't get no money off me. You don't bring lads round to the... Oh, he was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah,
I just needed to get out.
They're not necessarily bad things, are they?
He wasn't, but considering who I was and what I was doing, it was just a nightmare. I couldn't have none of my mates round or nothing. I used to have my girlfriend round at the time. It was a fucking nightmare. What are you doing? Get out, come on out. You know, it was his house. It was weird. It was just a weird situation. I had to get out. I couldn't live with him.
Did you have a good relationship though? Do you consider it was good?
Not at first. When I first got out after me 4 years, no, our relationship was very toxic because Maureen had looked after him, and I thought to myself, but then over the years gone by, I realised why he didn't stay in the relationship. He stayed in it too long as far as I was concerned, but he obviously needed it at the time.
Yeah.
But he's a completely different person. Completely different man.
Do you have a good relationship now?
I have the best relationship with him now. Like any normal son and father should have. You know, we talk. He's the only one who never misses, and he loves my kids. Even though he's not one of those who'll show it, but he'll never miss a birthday. He'll never miss a Christmas. He'll always ring up to see how we are, and I'm surprised at that. I didn't think we'd be as close as we are now, but we're more closer than we ever have been. He's getting on a little bit now. He's got problems at the moment. He's got to keep having to go have a camera up his backside. There's something wrong with him, but they can't find what it is. But there's something wrong with him. But to see him and know him then, to know him now.
So how do you think? Like you've never made no excuses. You know, were you destined? I know we all have choices. That's what everyone always says. But the criminality side of things, you know.
I knew nothing better, Mr. Samworth. I honestly knew nothing better. I never used to see my mum and dad going out to work. And when I did see my dad going to work, there was always some criminality involved in that work. He used to be a wine delivery driver.
Yeah.
And he'd fill his van up with wine, and I'd be with him, and we'd deliver it all over the country. And if there was something that wasn't tied down, it'd be in the back of the van. It would be in the back of the van.
He did have legit jobs.
Oh, I've known it to have 2 legit jobs, and that was a coach driver, bus driver,
Yep.
and a wine driver. And the bus driving was one of those tickets, and it was just a ticket, and you press it, no digital to prove it. And he used to come home with fucking stacks and stacks of coins from the bus job. So you know straight away that it's just everything that he ever did involved something to do with criminality. Going to deliver wine and knowing that there should be half a van full of wine, but that van's full of wine, and we're being stopped off at the Waverley to sell a couple of boxes. We're stopping off at this pub and that pub, and you'll see, and there'll be money going. So there was nothing that I didn't see that was not criminality.
Was there any criminality in his dad, sort of thing?
No. His dad was a policeman. His dad was a security guard for security car.
Really? So he was like a straight batter.
He was. My dad's always told me
his childhood weren't like yours then?
No. Granddad Bob, but he's obviously dead now. He was the straightest member. We've got pictures of him in his police uniform. I've still got little medals of bravery awards and his little colours from his police uniform. And when he left the police, he was in the military.
Yeah.
Then the police, and then he went to work for security cars, security guard, where he got held up by men with fucking sawn-off shotguns.
Like his son.
Never been in trouble. My dad's
Was
brothers.
he around long enough to see your dad getting locked up and doing?
Yeah.
That must have been tough. Can you remember your granddad?
Yeah, of course I can. Yeah, I can remember both. But yeah, I think it was tough on him, but it was. I think in those days it wasn't.
What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you it's limited.
Completely different. Policeman, law-abiding citizen, straight as he'll ever call me granddad was, and then so it just sometimes proves that. But my dad's always told me it wasn't the way he was brought up, because my nana and granddad had a few quid.
Yeah.
It was where he was brought up. He was brought up round Blackfriars, Chapel Street, Greengate. Whether it was.
Were they like infamous places in the day or whatever?
From what I've heard and what I've seen, yeah. But he was straight member, my granddad. And my dad's brothers, straight members.
Yeah.
And his sister's never been in trouble with their lives, never been to prison.
It's strange how things work out, isn't it?
Well,
have you ever talked with him about, where your life sort of went or anything, or is it like done, really. You know what I mean? There's no point discussing it.
No. We have talked, but I can't really get deep with my dad because he's more of a mate as well as, and because he knows I've seen the way it is, I don't need to ask questions. I know. I think I don't even know whether he's one of those who regrets it. It is what it is. Now, whether if you'd have turned out to be a doctor, I might have turned out to be a doctor. I don't know. It's just what I saw, and I didn't know anything better. Now, going back to my dad and his dad, the difference in that, it's just... Do
you think right, there's rough estates everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah,
And if you looked, geographically, it's a big word for this time of the morning, isn't it? But if you looked, you know, sort of in Sheffield, like, you know, there's estates that are quite infamous, Manor, Arborthorne, Wyburn. There'll be lots of people who are straight batters, good at working that on there, but also, you know, compared to other areas of Sheffield, there'll be a lot of criminality, won't there?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, do you think, like, the people you go to school with and stuff like that has anything to do with it? Because when I think back, you know, again, where I went to school, because it was where you lived then.
Yeah, well,
it used to be. So the schools I went to would have been classed as decent schools.
Well, no. So put it in the mix what I had to do. So I'm at home and I'm seeing this. And then I'm also going to care where I'm seeing cars being robbed, house burglaries, shoplifting. And these are the people that I met now. So some of the lads I knew from Huddersfield, I'd say I'm going home. So this week, say it's a Friday, I say, right, I'm off to Manchester this weekend to see my mum and dad. But no, I knew that they would not have wanted me there this weekend. So I used to stay in Huddersfield with one of the lads. Their mums and dads used to look after us.
Did the care place think you'd gone home to your mum and dad's?
Yeah. They used to give us, money when we used to go home at the weekends. They'd rather give us a ticket for the train, or if no staff had been to Huddersfield town centre that day, they'd give us the cash with our spending money for the weekend. But when I used to get home, Maureen used to take, I used to have to give that to Maureen, that money. But when I went to Huddersfield, I didn't. I'd keep that money to myself, so it'd last me all weekend. So I wasn't paying for my train, and we was walking, because Huddersfield's not that big a place, to tell you the truth.
No, it was.
We used to walk from Huddersfield town centre to a place called Uptown. And that's all we used to walk, because that's where my mate lived, so it was no money. And they used to drop us off in the middle of Huddersfield for the train, because where the home was in a place called Meltham, right next to Home Firth, in the middle of absolutely nowhere. So they used to drive us to Huddersfield to catch the train, and then also drop the Huddersfield lads off so they could catch the bus. But I used to just swerve the train station and go with my mate.
So do you think a lot of people in care end up in criminality?
Yeah. When I say care, when you say care, don't forget there's two types of care. There's the naughty boys care homes,
yeah,
and you also have homes that are like foster parents who are not naughty children, who have just got no parents.
Which were you in?
I was in a naughty one.
Did you, when you were in home, did you ever get any help, as in, you know, was anyone involved, you know, like counselling?
No, we just lived there, go to school.
It's just basically somewhere you lived.
Yeah, somewhere we lived, and we went to school on the premises as well. So basically, we wake up in the morning, have our breakfast, shoot off to a little poor cabin, which was our class.
Yeah.
Have our dinner, go, and then when the evening come, finish school at 3 o'clock, do what we did on the grounds, tea time, do what we did on the grounds, and then bed, and back to. And then Friday'd come, and you'd be told whether, I don't know whether phone calls used to be made between them and staff, but you'd be told to go and collect your ticket if you was going home that weekend. Some weekends you wasn't going home. Obviously something must have been said. Maureen must have said, I don't want home this weekend, or whatever the reason was. But sometimes they'd ask me, do I want to go home? And I'd say, yeah, but I'd go to my mates. So they used to think that I was at home.